Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today?
I'm perfect. How are you?
If I was any better, I'd be Mr. Andre Edwards, who is our favorite guest on the podcast. The Bengals week is back. Bengals start on Sunday. You know we got to have Andre on before the season starts so we can get our singing bet in, figure out what we're going to do. Me and Adam are going after Andre this year. We are going after him. He is going to come on this podcast and bless us with his golden pipes, platinum pipes. I apologize. Platinum pipes.
Hey, it's football season, baby. Let's get it.
Let's do it.
I've learned my lesson. I will be much more competitive this year. I've got them. I've definitely got them with more than 3 wins this year.
Bengals go to the Super Bowl. Adam has them with 3 or 4 wins.
It's the Joe Burrow effect, man. It's the Joe Burrow effect.
That's it. He changed my mind. All right. So, I mean, let's jump right into the Bengals. Just previewing first before we start picking games. The biggest question was obviously one of the best most fun offenses to watch in the NFL with the weapons that they have at quarterback and wide receiver, but got to figure out how to protect that weapon, how to protect Joe Burrow. Definitely. I mean, he was unbelievable with the lack of protection he had last year. The big goal this past offseason was to shore that up, fix it, get it better, improve it even a little bit. Andre, do you like what they did? Tell us a little bit about the newcomers on the offensive line and how you feel, what kind of a difference you think they're going to make.
So, first of all, any improvement over what they had last year is a step in the right direction. You can't have your quarterback take, I think it was 51 sacks in the regular season and an additional 19 sacks, including like 9 in one game in 4 playoff games. So 70 sacks on the season. That's not sustainable, right? You look at a guy like Andrew Luck, who was probably one of the more talented quarterbacks that there have been, in the past 10 years. And he's just like, I can't do this anymore. Right. And that's what we're attempting to avoid here in Cincinnati. Seeing somebody like Joe Burrow and having the talent that Joe Burrow has, you don't want to see him, 5-6 years into his career saying, I just can't do this anymore. And so what did the Bengals do? They went out and they addressed their biggest need. They got 3 free agents and 1 draft pick. So you start with the first guy that they signed approximately 26 seconds into free agency. Like, this is the greatest negotiation process I've ever seen. It was like, and it's 12 o'clock. Sweet. I wonder if the Bengals are going to sign Alex Kappa. Okay, cool. Awesome. So he comes from Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl, played with Tom Brady. The anecdote to the story is after talking to Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa was actually Brady's second phone call of, hey, I'm coming back. I want you to stay. And he was like, nah, I'm going to go play with the next Jew and Joe Burrow. So that says a lot to me about his commitment to wanting to be here and to protect for Joe, right? Because you had the opportunity to go and stay in Tampa and protect the GOAT. You decided to come to Cincinnati and protect the baby GOAT. So I'm okay with that. Then the next signing was Ted Karras. Ted Karras also played with Tom Brady, won 2 Super Bowls with Tom as I think left guard, right guard / center. He played a lot of center last year. Somebody to shore up the middle of that. I was a big Trey Hopkins fan, but I think the knee injury really kind of took his play down a bit last year. And to have somebody like Karras who can step in, voted a team captain by his teammates, so to be a first-year player and come in and be voted team captain, huge for him. But I think they like what they have. They like what they see. They like the tenacity. He's as the offensive line coach Frank Pollock would say, he's a glass eater, right? So somebody who can get in there and mix it up with guys that knows what he's doing. You feel super confident with him. And then finally, Lael Collins, probably the biggest wild card of the 3 free agents that they brought in. He comes with some baggage, don't get me wrong. But when he's playing at the level that he can play, he's a top 5 right tackle in the league. And there's not a lot of debate about that. Now, do you have to put up with him missing practices? Yes. Do you have to put up with him, only coming to the last couple 2-3 weeks of training camp? Yes. Do you have to put up with him maybe being a little overly aggressive on, in practice and or on the field sometimes? Yes. But if you pick up those things and you don't have to start Isaiah Prince at right tackle, I don't really care. And then finally,
to me, he's the biggest one.
Yeah.
He's the biggest. He is the most important one on that line that they picked up. The rest of these guys, don't get me wrong, are an obvious upgrade.
Sure.
The tenacity that you talk about, the being a little rough, the wild card status of him, I actually kind of like that. And
sure.
I'm sure that's one of the reasons Joe Burrow wanted him. Joe Burrow had him at his house and was like,
here's some crackers. Let's eat some crackers.
Exactly.
And cupcakes. Crackers and cupcakes.
And glass.
Yeah, apparently. And then, the 4th round draft pick, Cordell Volson, coming from a, FBS school, Division II, whatever you want to call it, school. The unfortunate part for me is that he beat out Jackson Carman in order to get that spot. Purely from a talent perspective, Jackson Carman should be starting at left guard, and he's not. And that's disappointing. Fortunately for the Bengals, they picked up a guy that I feel much more confident in than maybe I should. Like, he just appears to be super mature. He appears to be a guy that puts in the work. He appears to be a guy that, is open to coaching, is open to being tutored by the other offensive linemen, and quite frankly, to be surrounded on his left by Jonah Williams and on his right by Ted Karras is only going to help this kid get better, as time goes. So I think he's the right person for that job. I'm just disappointed that Jackson Carman isn't that spot, and Volson doesn't have the time to learn this year and get up to speed. That's disappointing to me. But
it doesn't.
Overall, those
it
5 starters get you in a much better place than what you were last year.
It doesn't surprise me though with Jackson Carman, because when we drafted him, he's a local kid. I didn't hear a ton of great stuff about him from around him. They took him way too early in the draft. No one was looking at him in that spot, and I haven't heard a ton of great things.
Yeah, no, I think, you go back to some of the high school or college off the field stuff that you heard about with underage girl, and this is not the time or place to get into that type of thing, but to me that's a red flag of just what kind of person are you, right? And then last year you come in overweight, you are basically just gifted the right guard spot because we don't have anybody else that we can stick in there. And 5 weeks into the season, you even lose that spot. Now we're going to move you over to the left side, which is your more natural side of the line. It's not tackle, but it's guard. It's still the left side. You're coming in great shape. I hear nothing but great things about what you did in the offseason, and you lost the gig to a 4th round draft pick from an FBS level school. Like that to me, that says all I need to know about Jackson Carman. And if it weren't for just the dearth of offensive line talent across the league, he'd probably be cut.
All right. So we're talking to Mr. Andre Edwards, former writer for the LockedOnBengals.com, at Andre Edwards 03?
06.
06, at Andre Edwards 06 on the tweet box. Always fun. Let's talk Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow comes back from ACL surgery, or his ACL injury. Well, I guess it was surgery. He has a great season, even though he's sacked more than anybody in the entire league. Last year, I saw a stat yesterday saying he was pressured more than any quarterback in the league. In the play after he was pressured, he had a completion percentage. He had the highest completion percentage in the league. It was something ridiculous, like almost 90% on the play after he was hurried.
I mean, he led the league in completion percentage at 70%. So, I mean, that doesn't shock me.
Right. But the play after you just get hurried, that's usually or get I don't know if it was just hurried or if it was when he got hit or what. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This he's not the Tom Brady stand up and cry about it after you get hit, anything like that. This dude seems to be different. Who's the odd? So there's not much to talk about Joe Burrow. So who's the odd man out on the wide receivers once we have to sign these guys here in a couple of years?
So I think the most obvious answer is going to be T. Higgins. And the reason why I say that is because his agent is David Mulligetta, which is the same agent that Jesse Bates had, and the same agent that is signing all these giant mega deals for all of these players across the league. And the Bengals just aren't going to do that. Like, it's not from I want to be clear, it's not from a talent perspective. It's not from a potential perspective of what I think he can do on the field. It's purely, I personally think T. Higgins is a number one on more than half of the teams across the league. He just happens to be on the same team as Jamar Chase. And does he take the Marvin Jones route, right? Like, think back to when Marvin Jones was coming up and you had AJ Green on the other side. I want to go be a number one somewhere. It didn't happen to work out that way, but he got paid that way and he had expectations that way. Does T. Higgins look at the situation in Cincinnati and say, I'm never going to be the number one guy here with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and the relationship that they have? Also, the agent that he has hired is looking to set records and get him his money and get him paid. And again, the Bengals just aren't going to do that. So I think he's going to be the most difficult of those three. I think they're fully committed to signing Joe Burrow. I think if they ask Joe Burrow, okay, who do you want, T. Higgins or Jamar Chase? I'm assuming he's going to say Jamar Chase. So we're going to pay Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd, he's getting a little older, a little long in the tooth, but it's still serviceable, still doing his thing. Great. They could probably get him on a fairly decent deal if he wants to stay around for another couple of years. Great. I think T. Higgins is that card that goes, I can go be a number one for the Jets, the New England Patriots, whoever you want to pick, and get paid to do so.
That's the nice thing about the success they had last year and having one of the best young quarterbacks. People are going to want to play here now. I mean, now you can, they already did sign a couple people that in years past, I'm not sure that happens. And when that stuff comes up, those guys are at least going to have an opportunity to do a hometown discount kind of thing if they want to do that. I think you're right. Most guys aren't going to want to do that. And so I want to get as much money as I can too. But if you're having fun and you're winning a lot in the 2-3 years or whatever before that contract comes up, much more likely that you're going to get guys to want to sign, to want to work with you a little bit on that stuff.
But I also think the really, really good thing about where the Bengals are and in a position they haven't been before is that you can be a destination where an older guy who is still super talented is willing to come here, take less money, fill a role that a T. Higgins leaves open, and still is productive, right? Still can light it up, right? It's name a wide receiver who's again just a little bit older, and I'm not talking 35, but somebody who's 28, 29, 30 years old who's still very productive in this league. You let T. Higgins go, but then we backfill it with somebody like that, and then it's like, all right, cool, let's just keep this thing rolling, man. And you don't have to pay an exorbitant amount in order to still be productive.
Right. So where does this offense rank with the additions that they made, with Burrow another year removed from his injury, with the success of Jamar Chase, knowing he's one of the best receivers in the league now? Where does this offense rank?
We're talking right now, we're talking about the end of the year.
I'm talking going into the year.
So going into the year, they're probably top 5. I mean, across the league, you look at one, I think the consensus across the board, if most people are being honest with themselves, is they probably have the best trio of wide receivers from a starter perspective, right? Like, you may say that Devontae Adams is better than Jamar Chase, and that's fine. If that's a debate we want to have, I have no problem with doing that. You may say Justin Jefferson is better than T. Higgins, and again, you can pick out individuals who may be better than an individual, but name me 3 better wide receivers on another team. Like, you just have a hard time doing that, right? You add in a Hayden Hurst, who is less of a blocker than what CJ Uzama was, but a much better pass catcher, route runner type of receiving option. And then Joe Mixon. Yeah, there are probably 5 or 6 backs across the league who are better than Joe Mixon. But if you add Joe Mixon to those 3 wide receivers, plus Hayden Hurst, plus Joe Burrow as your quarterback, where does that land you? And where does that put you? I still think, Buffalo has a plethora of offensive weapons. I still think Patrick Mahomes, if I'm starting a team and I just absolutely, you're telling me, gun to my head, do I take Mahomes or do I take Burrow? I probably take Mahomes. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. At this stage of their career, I would probably do that. Aaron Rodgers, it'll be interesting to kind of see how they adjust with no Devontae Adams and what does that look like. But they have 2 ridiculous running backs and a decent tight end. I mean, so top 3, top 5, somewhere in that general vicinity, as long as the offensive line performs the way that we think they will.
Love it. All right, so let's switch over to the defensive side. We talked about Jesse Bates. The biggest when we went into the draft, everybody talks about linebacker being probably the biggest hole that needed to be filled. Correct? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I would say, given the fact that both of your starting safeties are in their last year of their contract, your biggest hole is, all right, what do we do moving forward from a future standpoint?
I agree with that. But they're on the team right now. But I
mean, if you look at current linebackers, you got Wilson, you've got Pratt, you've got Akeem Davis Gaither coming back, you've got Bailey, you got the kid who just made like 20 tackles in a preseason game. I mean, there's some depth at that linebacker position that I think you can work with. I think the biggest questions were, where are you going to go if either Chidobe Awuzie goes down or Eli Apple goes down? And where are you going to go if once Jesse Bates and Von Bell are basically out of a contract at this point? You could also go, we lost 3 technique that went to Pittsburgh, Ogunjobi. We lost Ogunjobi. How do you replace, you elevate BJ Hill into his spot, but then how do you replace that BJ Hill role? So those will be my concerns over linebacker.
So where does this defense sit overall this year?
I think this could be a top 10. Mark it down, write it down. This could be a top 10 defense.
DJ Reader up the middle. I mean, He's proven that he is as good as.
He's a monster.
He's huge. He's amazing. And then you've got Hubbard and Hendrickson.
27 sacks in the last 2 years. Something. I mean, just ridiculous. And then that's sacks. That's not even including pressures or anything else like that, right? I am bullish on this defense. I think this defense is going to not only surprise people, but have this team winning games that people think it possibly shouldn't. I think you take what they had in Reader and Bates and Bell and Awuzie and Hubbard and all those pieces that they had, Logan Wilson, and you add to it a player like a Dax Hill, who you can use him in so many different, like think about Troy Polamalu. And I'm not saying he's Troy Polamalu. I want to be very clear about that. But think about the roles that Troy Polamalu played. Think about Tyrann Mathieu and the roles that Tyrann Mathieu played, right? He's in the slot. He's at free safety. He's at strong safety. Oh, crap, they actually got him on the outside, sticking a wide receiver, or he's blitzing from the – that's the type of player that you add to that secondary when you draft a player like Dax Hill, who also, by the way, runs a 4.3 40 or whatever the hell it was, right? So you add that element to a Bates, a Bell, a Cheeto, and an Eli Apple, and you just throw this wild card back there that can be all over the place, who is super intelligent, team captain, and ridiculously athletic and fast. And it's just a wild card that you can play anywhere you need. So, hey, who's going to take on this tight end? Hey, who's going to take on this running back out of the backfield? Who's going to be the spy that follows Lamar Jackson when he decides to break out of the pocket? The type of things that you can do, know that you can lock down the rest of this with your guys and have this wild card that you can just do kind of anything with. I think Lou Anarumo is salivating at the possibilities.
That's exciting. I'm way more excited about this defense than I originally was after that.
I'm telling you, man, I am not kidding. Barring injury at corner, because I think that's where they are thin. Because then you start bringing in guys like Trey Flowers, who is fine, but not great. And then after Trey Flowers, like, you already lost your second round draft pick to IR for a bit. And then after that, you're just bringing up dudes off the practice squad, which nobody ever wants to do. So, barring catastrophic injury, especially at corner, I don't really see any holes on this defense.
Which Michael Thomas sees the field more? Offense or defense? The fifth wide receiver or the third cornerback or second safety?
That's a good question. Because neither one of them is really going to see the field on offense or defense, right? Like, both are going to play a ton of special teams. And if either one of them are playing offense or defense, it's probably bad. Like, something very bad happened.
That's kind of along with, I was going to ask you about depth. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel great about the guys that are going to play.
Yeah.
How about depth? God forbid,
Sure.
injuries happen to 2-3 guys at the same time or whatever.
Sure.
How do you feel about the depth on both sides of the ball?
Yeah. So obviously, if Joe goes down, you can just write off the season, right? And but that's the case for most teams. There aren't very many teams that have a backup quarterback that you feel can carry you for 5, 6, 8, 10 games. Like, you just, nobody really has that, right? Yeah. And if they do, they're probably trading it for assets to improve the team around their number one guy. So you can let's just set that aside. Again, my biggest concerns are cornerback depth. So anything behind the first 2 to 3 guys, Mike Hilton, Cheeto, and Eli. And
Trey Flowers, is he the next one? Is he time quarterback?
Yeah, yes. I mean, and Cam Taylor-Britt is on IR. So, I mean, he's out for the first 4 weeks. So who do you really have beyond that? So that's an issue for me. And then offensive line depth, right? So you've got your 5 starters in Williams, Volson, Karras, Kappa, Collins. But if one of those dudes goes down, especially Karras, who's your backup center? Like who's coming in? And so that's a Trey Hill, who was a 4th round draft pick last year, who, got yanked out of a couple of games last year because he didn't know the snap count and couldn't stop holding people. Like, that's a little scary to me. Or, Lael Collins goes down and now Isaiah Prince is back out at right tackle. No, thanks. I don't think anybody wants to see that. Or Cordell Volson goes down and now Jackson Carmen's starting at left guard. I don't think anybody wants to see that, right? And then probably a less thought about one is Hayden Hurst at tight end. He is your pass catching, middle of the field, stretch the defense tight end. If he goes down, the guys that you have behind him are more blocking, helping the run game, Sample catch a pass or two, but not really. Like nobody's scared of Sample, right? Mm-hmm. So if Hayden Hurst goes down to a significant injury, they don't have anybody who can replicate what he can do on this team.
And probably to be expected, nobody's going to carry 2 number 1 tight ends, or it's kind of the same thing with the quarterback, like you were talking about. So okay, a few holes depth wise, but as long as they mostly stay healthy, feel really good about both sides.
Yeah, I do.
I've got a question for you. Growing up, did you have a telephone on the wall in your kitchen?
Yep. With a dry erase board next to it, so you can write down who called and what time and who left the message. Yeah.
Was it red?
It was not. It was beige.
Oh, that's the other color.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of red telephones in kitchens when I was a kid. Or beige.
For whatever reason. I don't even know why.
I think we got the beige.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. See, that's what's hanging on my wall. Yes.
Did you have like the 25-foot long cord? Or...
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, because
Chris looks like a magician pulling scarves out of the thing.
I would pick it up off the ringer, right? And then the way our kitchen was, there was a door off to the side that led to the basement. So I would take it off the hook and then like walk out and around like towards, and I'd be sitting on the steps with the door closed so you can't hear my conversation, of course. Like, super deep conversations that I don't need anybody hearing when I'm 15 years old. Deep conversations.
Hey. When the girlfriend calls at that age, can't have it.
Look here, man. Let me tell you right. The biggest key I ever had. So my parents got us call waiting. Right? Do you remember call waiting?
Absolutely.
Instead of ringing busy, you would hear a little boop boop on, right? And so you knew to click over, children. So there was a button you had to push, right? You had to push a button and then it would click over to the other call. You didn't even know who was calling, like you do on your cell phone now. You just had to chance it, right? So here's what I would do. I would tell said young lady, hey, call me at exactly 10 p.m., right? Because I knew my parents would be sleeping.
I know this move.
Right? I would call the weather line at 9:59. Wait for the doo-doo, click over, phone doesn't ring, parents don't know I'm on the phone. Boom, money. Just money.
Nice.
I've got that's
60% of the time it worked every time.
So that's smart. I remember that move. I didn't use it that much because I didn't have ladies calling a whole lot, or I wasn't calling them a whole lot either, unfortunately. But that was a different life. But I do. Actually, no, that wasn't a different life. You're right. Totally the same now. Anyway, I do have a story about that I don't know if she just was meant to do this and didn't do it right. The story you just said, but I was going out with a girl. I was like my senior year, I was like 17 or something like that. And she tells me, call my house at like, 10:30 or something like that. I'm like, are you sure? I know that's late. You sure? So I trust that she's gonna do something like you were just talking
Yes.
about. Phone rings, dad answers. Is so-and-so there? Do you know what time it is, son?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm from California. What?
Yeah,
Time is it there?
yeah, it's 7 p.m., right? 7:30.
That's what you got. This is Adam calling with the Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know if you guys were going to make a donation this year.
Can we count on your vote?
Yeah. 100%.
This is Steve Shabbat. Can I count on your vote?
Steve Shabbat.
He called me the other day.
West Side's finest, Steve Shabbat, baby.
He called me the other day for to see if I was going to vote for him. I guarantee it wasn't him on the phone. Guarantee it.
Oh man, I mean, my favorite thing about Steve Shabbat are the plastic cups they gave out at the parade every year.
Harvestone Parade. This
Harvestone
tomorrow.
Parade.
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you're right.
Harvestone Parade tomorrow. My girls are going to be doing some dances in it.
There
Nice.
is. There you go.
Yeah. Get it. Dig it.
Uh-huh.
All right, we got to turn to something way more serious, and that is
All right.
picking these games for this year.
Right.
Picking these games. Now, remember, singing is on the line. Singing in front of the whole world.
It
is
is.
on the line.
Acapella.
The world, by the way.
The
You know,
internet. The
Watch this
internet is,
podcast.
yeah, the internet is still buzzing from my rendition of Shy's.
Oh,
Uh,
it was so
Can I-
good. It was
Can I say
chef's
we
kiss.
had more comments on that podcast saying how incredible Adam actually, there was a lot of surprised people, tons of comments on that episode.
So
Yeah.
good.
incredibly, they were all family members. So yeah, I'm sure that they
I didn't get
that
it.
really
We got
meant a
the
lot.
We got the same family, bro. They didn't say nothing when I had the same.
People that have to say that said that.
So good. So good.
All right. So let's jump into it. Week 1, we're all excited about it.
Yeah.
Bengals at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Andre, what do you have?
I'll be at the game. So I'm going to dub.
This is my surprised face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
for Andre.
hey, I will say this. This might be on this podcast. This might be the first time I ever picked the Bengals to beat the Steelers on this podcast.
No, last year you had them split.
Did I?
You did. You split last year. I remember because
All right.
I split the opposite way of you. I had them winning in Pittsburgh, losing in Cincy. You had them winning in Cincy, losing in Pittsburgh.
All right.
Because we talked about how that could come into play if we tied at the end.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you got in this one?
Bengals.
Bengals, I'm taking a W as well for the Bengals. Let's go.
First of all,
which is
let's
big
be
news.
very clear about this. Adam Schmidt, ladies and gentlemen, has the Bengals starting 1-0. I just want to be very clear that this is
Undefeated.
happening. This, when people talk about the Joe Burrow effect, this is what it is. It got Paycor Stadium. It got a Super Bowl appearance, and it got Adam Schmidt to have the Bengals at 1-0. Joe Burrow's a god. I just want to let he's a god.
His confidence just oozes on to everybody else.
Man.
So that I'm getting some of that from him. Guys, week 2.
The sunglasses.
What's that?
It's the sunglasses.
It's the sunglasses. It's all the pairs of sunglasses.
Cartier.
And the cigars and whatever else. Yeah. Week 2 at Dallas.
What you got, Chris?
Okay.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I got to give them a loss somewhere in here. I'm going to give them a loss in week 2 in Dallas.
Adam, what you got?
I am also going loss at Dallas.
You people are suckers. I'm going for a dub. Why? Because I'll be there.
Oh, man. All right. We're also an additional thing is we're
What is
going
that?
we're gonna
Nah, I won't
guess
be at
whether
every
Andre
game,
is
but
going
I'll
to
be
be
at
at
the
each.
first two, for sure. So my pop's is a big Dallas Cowboy fan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and so my brother and I, Keith, decided, hey, you know what? I don't know how many times we're gonna have the opportunity to get down to Jerry's World, so let's take this one. And so we're taking pops, just the three of us, down to Jerry's World, and watch Joe Burrow dice him up a little bit.
That's so
speaking of Grandpa Darnell, is he where your son got his height from?
Apparently, because like, dude, like Caleb is standing up here.
Well, hold on. Now.
At 14, like
not counting his hair.
No, not counting his hair. Like,
oh, man.
It was legit.
That's legit. That's legit.
All right. 2-0 so far from Mr. Edwards. Now we go to New York against the
Joe
Jets.
Flacco, W.
That was easy.
Look, they already said Zach Wilson won't be ready until at least week 4. If we can't beat 625-year-old elite Joe Flacco, there's a problem.
Elite Joe Flacco. I'm excited about the Sauce Gardner Jamar Chase matchup. That's what I'm excited about here.
Agreed. Like what I want it to be is Sauce's first touchdown given up since high school.
No, you know what? I'm good if that doesn't even happen, because we still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd to throw to all day.
For sure.
I like Sauce Gardner so much that I'm good if Jamar Chase does not get a touchdown in that game. You could win that game 3-0.
If we win that game 3-0, I'm going to be having heart palpitations.
I'm just saying, all you need is a field goal to win that game. All you need is a safety to win that game. I don't know that they can move the ball with Joe.
They're gonna have to put Sauce at wide receiver.
Maybe.
So I'm guessing that's a W for you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'll take a dub there as well. Then we go to Thursday night football for the whole world to see at home against Miami.
Adam, your turn to go first.
Yeah.
I am going to go. Let's see. Thursday night football games are always awful. The Bengals have been horrible for the last 20 years on national TV.
Yes, but
I know it doesn't
fair, to be fair, 9 of those years were Andy Dalton.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say. Opposite of Andy Dalton now. I'm taking a W for
some perspective. 9 of those years were Andy Dalton. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. I was kidding. I was trying to do the heel thing.
Will this be I think this is the premiere of the all-white helmets too, though.
Okay, then for that reason, W for me.
I got a W going, and I can't wait to see those things.
I think Thursday, because it's the Ring of Honor game, and I think it's the debut of the white helmets.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going dub.
And then we go to Baltimore. Yeah, I want to see Andre squirm a little bit here.
Your turn to go first, Andre.
All right. So I genuinely believe the Bengals are a better team than Baltimore. Like, I don't think the Ravens have enough offensive weapons to keep up with what the Bengals can bring offensively from a weapons perspective. Again, assuming everybody's healthy, no major losses. You're not telling me Chase and Higgins both got hurt in the first 2 weeks and now I'm, whatever. But assuming everyone is healthy enough to play and play well, I think Lou Anarumo can design a defense that this is where a guy like Dax Hill, right, comes in huge in a game like this. Son, your entire job is to just watch Lamar Jackson. Wherever he goes, you go. And if he decides to run, go get him. Like
beat him to the edge. Beat him to the edge.
Right. That's your job. Here, also watch this highlight of him putting Bengals in the spin cycle. don't let that happen ever.
Yeah.
But
Ugly
so
is
you know
good.
what? It's at Baltimore. I'm going to say a dub.
Chris.
I am going to hold on a second here. This is in Baltimore, right?
It's in Baltimore. Yep. Week 5.
And I'll tell you what, second half of this Bengals schedule is not easy.
Brutal.
That's what you get for winning all those games last year.
Brutal.
You got a Super Bowl team's schedule. All right. You know what? I'm gonna go with you. I think this is a well-rounded, very good Bengals team. I feel good about it because they're gonna lose to Baltimore. I'm gonna foreshadow here. They're gonna lose to Baltimore in week 18 because ain't nobody gonna be on the field.
Nobody's gonna care.
W for you. I'm gonna go ahead and call it an L for me.
Here they
I'm
come.
back. Okay, well, Joe Burrow only lasted so long, people. There's only so many miracles that Joe Burrow can pull off.
At Baltimore.
Adam's singing this year because he's going to have – they might win 2 games at the end of the second half of the season on that for Adam.
I know. I got to be careful about that. 4 weeks into having everybody back on the field because everybody on that team was hurt last year.
Yep.
4 games under their belts. As long as they stay healthy, they're going to be certainly the toughest competition in the division for the Bengals, right?
Sure. Don't disagree.
Okay.
Don't disagree. The only thing I will say is the first time the Bengals played the Ravens, the only position that was decimated was their running back position. They still had Lamar. Their defense was still intact. And Cincinnati just beat the piss out of those dudes. So, just saying.
Fair enough. And then you go to New Orleans.
So, do I think the Bengals are better than New Orleans? I do. But for whatever reason, I'm going to give them a loss here.
Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston.
I'm like,
Listen,
sometimes you have like those fluky Jets games where like there's no reason you should lose to New Orleans, right? But they got a pretty good defense. I think Jameis Winston is a decent enough quarterback. Like he's fine. You got Alvin Kamara, who's going to be hard to stop. You got the hype of Burrow and Chase coming back to, New Orleans and that whole piece of things. And you just sometimes have an inexplicable loss that you're like, why did we lose that game? Like, what? This will be the one.
So I have loved Jameis Winston since he was at Florida State. I want to say his freshman year, after week 4, he had more touchdowns than he had incomplete passes. I thought this dude was going to be the greatest thing in the world. I drafted him his rookie year in all 5 of my fantasy teams. I kept him in 3 of them, even though he wasn't my star. I kept 2 quarterbacks in a couple leagues because I wanted Jameis Winston. The dude's a gunslinger. He's really good. Michael Thomas is back. Michael Thomas is really good.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is really good. But when they go to New Orleans, there are going to be more people there cheering for Joe Burrow than there will be cheering for Jameis Winston. I guarantee
that. I don't disagree with that.
For that reason, Joe Burrow back home wants to put a show on for those people. Joe Burrow will not let them lose that game in New Orleans. I'm calling for a W now.
And I'm calling for a W because they lost the week before in Baltimore. So they're bouncing back with this. They're a much more motivated team this week.
See, I'm coming with that. I'm coming with that Sunday night football, the big hype coming off that Sunday football win. That's a big win. You got to carry that.
That's on the possible trips list.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a
so
good one.
I got a homeboy who lives in New Orleans, and he was like, "Just come on down, man. Come on, you can stay here. We'll go to the game." I'm like, maybe we might do that. So
all it's going to take is a plane ticket and a ticket to the game.
That's it. That's all I need.
That sounds like a few $1,000. All right.
Hey, I went to the Super Bowl last year. Once I get out to watch some of my friends, right? Yeah,
Right.
No limits on where this guy will go.
that's right.
All right, back home against Atlanta then.
Win. Atlanta's trash.
Even
I mean,
even
they might be playing Des Ritter by that.
I was just gonna
I'm not
say
gonna lie.
by then.
Yeah, I'm a big Des Ritter fan. I'm obviously big UC football, basketball, like I always have been, whatever. Big Des Ritter fan. By week 7, it is legitimately possible that Des Ritter is starting. And I saw what Alabama did to that UC team, and the Bengals are way better than Alabama. So, that's a win.
Des Ritter, I'm sorry. I went to the Notre Dame game and they pulled it off and they won that game. He did not impress me in that game. He definitely didn't impress me in that Alabama game. And those were the 2 toughest teams they played all year. He is not an NFL quarterback. If he is starting, it's a W. If he's not starting, it's a W. It don't matter.
Okay. I'm going with a dub there too. And then they go to Cleveland for Monday Night Football after that.
What week is this? Week 8?
Week 8.
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett. I'm gonna let
maybe somebody else by then.
I'm gonna let somebody else start. Chris, what you got?
W. Yeah, I can't. I'm in Columbus right now, and 80% of people have switched from Cleveland fans to being Bengals fans because this Cleveland team does not have their shit together. Pardon my language. They're terrible. I'm going with the Bengals in this. This is another W. 7-1 going into week 9.
Adam, what you got?
Ooh. Big stage on Monday Night Football. Joe Burrow loves that stuff.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. That convinced me.
Hey, Jacoby
W for the Bengals.
Jacoby Brissett took the Patriots to the playoffs. And then got his chance in Indy and looked absolutely terrible.
Yeah. So if Joe Burrow can't beat Jacoby Brissett, there are problems. So W.
All right, and then back home against Carolina.
W.
Big win going into the bye week.
Yeah, I mean, again, so most of my predictions are like, with the exception of that first Baltimore game where I could see them losing, most of them are just like, we're the better team. Like, we're just all things being equal, both teams coming into the game relatively healthy. We're just the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any reason that they should lose games to Carolina. Like, you shouldn't lose games to Carolina. You put Chidobe Awuzie and a safety on Robbie Anderson and put a safety on Christian McCaffrey and call it a day. Like, you don't have anybody else to even be worried about. Like, why are we even having this conversation? Right?
Yep.
Sure. It's the NFL. It is the greatest reality TV show that there is on the planet, and that's why it's is crazy popular as it is. But if you just lay the 2 rosters out and say who's better, like, the Bengals should be somewhere around 8-1, 7-2 going into the bye week.
And
I totally agree.
And that's what you have. You and Chris both have them at 8-1.
And what do you have, Matt Adam?
7-2.
All right.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's where they should be.
Week 10 is Andre Edwards on the Nosebleed Sports Podcast to talk about the first half of the season.
Right.
There we go.
That's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
That's a win for everybody.
We just
Mark.
You get a dub.
W
You
for
get a
that.
dub. You get a dub. Like,
And then after that, they go week 11 to Pittsburgh.
Adam Schmidt, what you got?
I am going to go with a win. Win in Pittsburgh.
I hope so, because I'm interested to see what this rookie quarterback is going to be like.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh, but this is a win. This is another one of those. They if they don't sweep Pittsburgh this year, it's not going to be good.
All right. I'm gonna go loss.
Okay.
I'll say they
said,
split.
They got
I'll
to
say
reach
they
this time,
split.
right?
Yeah.
And then stay on the road going to Tennessee.
I think that's a dub, personally. Outside of Derrick Henry, they lost AJ Brown. Ryan Tannehill doesn't really scare me. I think by then, if you look at, what would be your biggest concern is the can the offensive line prevent them from having, multiple sacks to where it's just destroying game plans? Offensive line should be gelled. Again, barring significant injury at any specific position, there's no reason they should lose that game. Plus, it should probably be a fairly decent amount of Bengals fans there, because I was at the Tennessee game last year and there were plenty of us there.
Nashville's so close, and everybody wants to go to Nashville.
Yeah. Yep. Look here, we ruined a whole lot of bachelorette parties that we
Good.
Like whoever had planned this bachelorette party for the last 6 months of we're going to Nashville and it's gonna be great, and then it just got raided by a bunch of really drunk Bengals fans who were screaming "Who Dey" the whole time. They don't even know what the hell that means. It was just terrible. Sorry, ladies, our bad. But
I'm going opposite of this. I'm going to put the Bengals right here going into 12 and 13. They're going to have back-to-back losses. Even good teams go through a little spurt where everybody starts talking bad about them, and I think this is what that happens to the Bengals.
Back-to-back losses? Did you say a loss at Pittsburgh?
No. I'm
he's
foreshadowing 13. Yeah.
Okay.
He's looking ahead.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Sorry.
I see.
I got in trouble for that in school.
No, you're good. I just wasn't following. I'm going to go loss here. But I mean, you know what? That's a loss. It's a loss on the road in Tennessee. They're not a bet. Honestly, the Bengals stack up against everybody now. But
Tennessee and Indy will be in the hunt to win the South, man. So, it's not like it's a terrible thing.
They're not a bad team.
No.
I'm going to go loss, so then we go to Kansas City. Or not go to Kansas City, but to the week of Kansas City in Cincinnati, which means something.
I'm going to call this a loss. I think this game is going to mean more at that point in time to Patrick Mahomes than it is going to mean to Joe Burrow. And Mahomes has some things to get off his chest, and he's a guy who, if he wants to he puts his head to it, dude. He's like you said, you'd rather start a team with him right now over Joe Burrow. That's the kind of guy he is. This is that game for him, where I think Bengals going to New Orleans and Joe Burrow says, I ain't losing in New Orleans. This is Louisiana. This is where I am. This is my place now. I think that's how Patrick Mahomes comes into Cincy and says, I'm putting a stamp on this game right now. This ain't happening. I'm not losing 3 in a row to this kid.
Yeah, I think I'll join you on the loss train.
Loss.
What you got, Schmidt?
I'm going to go ahead and go loss as well. I'm very tempted to say win just to go against.
Surprised. I'm surprised.
But I really did think about going win just because you guys both went loss. If I go win, if I separate myself there, we get a little closer.
You got opportunities, man. You got opportunities right here.
A little closer to hearing Andre sing for us. No, I'm going to go loss because week 14, I'll just start win against Cleveland at home.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go win in that game as well.
At home in Cincinnati, Paycor Stadium.
Are you trying to talk him into it?
I'm just surprised that he's thinking about it.
Is Deshaun Watson back?
Yes.
Yes, so he's out for 11 games. He'll be back for week 12. So he'll be 3 games in. But week 12, I believe, is the Browns. This will be his second game. He will not start until week 13, I heard.
Against the Texans.
So he will be, 1 or 2 games back, and 14, 15 more massages between now and then. Yeah.
All right, I'll go Dub.
All right.
It's just, I mean, that'll be his.
He's going to be so relaxed. I mean,
that's true. That is very true.
He'll be relaxed, but it'll be his second week with the team, and
His shoulders will be loose.
yeah.
He hasn't played football in 2 years.
He looked terrible in the preseason. That's for sure.
Well, he's got a lot going on in his. I mean, it's got to be hard to play football.
So, like, there was some speculation that even though he's only suspended for 11 games, that part of his rehabilitation process, if you will, is to be cleared by the counselors, like the not anger
psychiatrists, those people that talk to him.
Right. The therapist. And there's there's a train of thought out there that because he hasn't shown remorse to this point, that they won't clear him, and so therefore he won't end up playing this season.
I haven't heard that was part of the appeal process.
That's part of the whole shebang,
which is good
process. But
yeah,
food, something to think of.
Moot point though, because we all picked wins.
Yeah.
Either way. And then you go to, and then week 15 is at Tampa Bay.
Loss.
Quick one from Andre.
Goat versus baby goat.
This is going to be a really fun game. It'll be in Tampa Bay. This is going to be super hyped up. It'll probably get flexed.
Yep.
I guess this will probably be a Sunday.
If they're both in it, for sure it's getting flexed.
Yes.
Oh wait, I was just going to flex, but I'm not the one that should be flexing. So.
Oh man, this is so difficult. You know what? Father Time always wins, and I've been saying it for years. I think Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady. I think Tampa Bay could easily go to the Super Bowl. I didn't pick them in the Super Bowl, but I picked them last week when we did our Super Bowl picks. I picked them in the NFC Championship game. Well, maybe we didn't even talk about that, but I think they'll be in the NFC Championship game. But I think he's still great. But I think this is that game where something happens. Something special happens right here, brother. Something special happens. And after the game, Brady walks over and there's going to be like a 30-second conversation. He might lick his ear or something. It's going to be real cute. And Joe Burrow gets the dub.
Joe Burrow with the dub.
It's a lot of Joe Burrow with the win. The Bengals have to win. You can have the greatest quarterback time. The fact is they have a really good team.
I don't know, man. Let's be very clear. You don't have a quarterback, you're screwed. So
you can be the best quarterback, but you need the rest of your team.
You need a defense. You need a running. Yeah, for sure.
Aaron Rodgers went years without a running game.
Yeah.
Gant was a serviceable back.
Stop it.
I am going to go against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. I mean, Florida's just a terrible place to be. I'm just going to say loss because it's going to be like, ugh, Florida. Although late in the season, it'll be a nice change from the cold weather up here. It'll go down there and I'm going loss. The Bengals have now lost 3 out of their last 4, by the way.
Rough over there, boy.
And they've got Buffalo coming up in a couple weeks. All right. Then from Tom Brady's newish home to his old home, in New England for week 16.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a tough game. Anytime you go into New England in December, right before Christmas, this is a tough game. What do I have the Bengals at right now? What's their record?
You have them with 3 losses so far.
I'm going to go with and then I'm going to go with a loss. I'm going to go with a loss here. And this is a road loss against Mac Jones, who was really good last year. Could have easily been rookie of the year if you wanted to give it to him. I mean, took a not so good New England team to the playoffs. I'm gonna put a loss on this one.
Schmidt, what you got?
I'm going with a win on the road.
Same. Give me the dub. Who the hell is he throwing the ball to? Name right now. No, stop. Before you say anything else, name the top 2 wide receivers for the Patriots right now. So everybody's healthy. Everybody's there.
Wes Welker and Randy Moss.
I don't know.
Okay, name one.
I can't. I don't know. I couldn't right off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you.
Isn't Rex Burkhead still there?
He's running back though.
I
But
know.
he is still there. But listen, they beat one of the best teams in the league last year in New England in December and threw the ball twice.
Who did they play? The Buffalo?
Buffalo.
That's because they're in the same division. Like,
They always
Bill
beat
Belichick
Buffalo.
plays mind games with people, man. Like, don't believe that.
just-
Yeah, and then they went to the playoffs, and what happened?
I'm just saying.
They
You
got
talk about 2 games. I'm not saying
murdered
I'm not
in the
saying
playoffs because they have no weapons.
I'm not saying they're a better team than the Bengals. I'm just saying it doesn't stack up well for me. I feel like I got to give them another loss somewhere, and I got them winning on Monday night against Buffalo. So this is going to be the L, and Buffalo is going to be my dub. I got them with 5. I'm going to have them go 12-5 because they're going to lose to Baltimore. They're going to already have the division wrapped up.
I just don't like this one. I mean, like, I'm not saying I disagree with your overall record. I'm just saying I don't like this one.
Yeah.
I just don't like. There is nothing on New England's team that scares me from an offensive perspective. And as much as I hyped up this defense and thought they're going to be great, like, there's no reason that Mac Jones should beat this team.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But they're going to lose that game anyway.
The only thing I know for sure is Andre's going to be there.
Christmas Eve in New England. No thanks.
Hey,
Not happening, bro. No.
I have a feeling he's not going to have the choice on that one. All right. Okay, so Buffalo, Chris, you already said win, right?
I'm taking a win in this one. This is gonna. It's. I'm telling you, man. Under the lights, man. When them lights turn on and the cameras are on you and it's main. You're on the main stage and the entire country is watching. That's when that boy shines, man. That's when this team last year shined. I'm taking a W in this game.
I'm kind of drinking the Bills Kool-Aid now. I'm taking a loss on that one. I think they're probably the best team in the league, or at least all the hype is telling me that, and I'm a sucker enough to think it.
Adam, do you have the Bengals making the playoffs?
Boy, that's 4 out of their last 6 that they've lost now. We'll check it out at the end here. Good question, though.
Burrow can only do so much, man. He can only do so much.
That's right.
I'm not gonna lie though. I think I'm with Adam on this one. I genuinely believe that Buffalo is the best team in the AFC. I really do. I think the Bengals, unfortunately, are, and I don't know a lot about Buffalo's depth the way I know the Bengals depth, but I think the Bengals are one or two injuries away from having some significant problems in keeping up with the competition. And again, I'm not at all familiar with Buffalo and what they do and how many people behind their frontline starters and yada yada yada, all that great jazz. But
it's not they got a great core of
correct
of skill set players anyway.
Yes, correct.
Between Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas,
right? Yeah, I mean, bro,
Mark Pike,
Bruce Smith,
Kenny Lofton. Like, I mean, bro, they are set. And I mean, let's not forget the weapon in Scott Norwood, because that dude is money.
Yes.
Money.
Until you get to the Super Bowl.
So yeah, I'm gonna go
lost there, and then that brings us to Week 18, Baltimore at home in Cincinnati. I already marked down a dub for me.
What do I have their record at?
Now they have 4 losses. So you've got them at what, 13-4 at this point.
So
No, 12 and 4. 12 and 4.
So at 12-4, do you have home field advantage locked up? Do you have will they have they won't
I mean, at 12-4, I think you're still pretty iffy, only from the standpoint of, and I'm not trying to convince you to vote one way or another, but like, you got to think about Kansas City in the West. You've got Buffalo in the East. Like, those two teams specifically, I would be concerned about having 2 or 3 losses.
the one that concerns me the most there would be Buffalo.
Yes.
Because Kansas City has a pretty tough schedule as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, Kansas City's in the West, which I think
That's
most people
best,
would agree that's the hardest
team.
division, right? Yeah. So
Best division in football.
you're going to take probably a loss or 2 or 3 that just out of that division.
So they'll have home field locked up. It'll just be if it matters about not home field throughout the playoffs, but they'll have a first home game. I'm going to say they don't play their starters. I'm going to say no, because if they win and Buffalo loses, I'm going dub. I'm going 13-4. 13-4. They're going to play this game. They're playing. Lamar Jackson's going to be hurt anyway. I take that back. Lamar's not going to be hurt. Lamar is going to do exactly what Joe Flacco did and bet on himself and make a crap ton of money, because he is going to play this season out and he is going to be amazing and he's going to make a ton of money.
Yes.
He's going to lose a
leg and then hamstring his franchise for the next 5 years, and I'm going to love it.
Yep.
I want him to be Joe Flacco 2.0. Because when Joe Flacco made $100 million or whatever the heck it was, when he was like, I won a Super Bowl, now pay me my money. And then they had to let go of like Anquan Bolden and a bunch of defensive starters, and they just became crappy. Like, that's exactly what I want. That's what I want.
I'll tell you what I want. I want Andre to pick a win for this game, because that would mean something big for this little bet that we have. But I don't want to convince you to do that. I want you to pick freely. Whatever you think.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 losses right now, right?
And that's the thing.
I'm pretty sure I have 5 losses.
Yeah.
And I think in my head, I have them at 11-6 in my head. I don't necessarily want them losing this game to Baltimore, but this would be their first back-to-back on my sheet. This would be their first back-to-back losses of the season. If I give them a loss, Yeah, I'm gonna say loss.
Loss. All right.
I'm gonna say loss.
So that means that Andre and I both end up at 11-6. Chris ends up at 13-4. But then it comes down to the one.
So how about this? So
Chris is practicing
So-
singing into the phone.
right. So hypothetically speaking, you and I are the two losers.
Mhm.
Yes.
Then it comes down to the amount of
Correct.
correct weeks
picks.
picked. Yeah.
Here's my next question for you. You guys both have them at 11-6. I got them at 13-4. If they go 12-5,
Mhm.
that again, we're all one game off. Is that again? Are we doing most picks since we're all just one game
So
off?
if we are all one game off and they finished at 12-5, it's whoever out of all of us has the worst pick of wins.
Right. Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
Gonna be
Yeah.
Interesting. And we also all three of us picked a maximum 2-game losing streak. So we all have a 2-game losing streak at some point, different points in the season. But that's interesting too. All right.
Yeah. I can agree with those.
That's awesome. I'm excited about this. Adam's got the Bengals with a winning record.
This is amazing.
We've done this
Man.
podcast for 4 or 5 years now.
This is
and
amazing.
I got to
don't
go
know-
back and reevaluate these picks, man. I don't know. 11 wins is insane.
He still doesn't believe it.
No, I'm just kidding. Joe's got me hooked.
Joe Burrow's a god.
Yes, he is.
All right.
Okay.
Football's
Andre-
fun. I'm sorry. I was going to say, we have maybe retired the Thanksgiving football game, possibly.
Thank God.
Thank God. We're all thinking that. I mean, we're all thinking that. We've all thought that for 10 years. But anyway,
I love that football game.
It was
so do I.
so I love the football game because I wasn't one of the dudes in the trenches most of the time.
It was the
Like,
quarterback. You two
To
are
be
the
very clear,
quarterbacks.
that's where most of the injuries and things happened. Of like one dude on the defensive side of the ball being a little too overly aggressive, and like, what are we doing? Like, I gotta go to work on Monday, bro. Stop it. Chill.
Tony,
I had to run all the way down the field and all the way back when I didn't get the ball every time.
Correct.
Tony
Correct.
turned
I'm
into
like,
a 6th grade defensive end.
Keith, you do this. Adam, you do this. Okay, well, come on back, boys. Come on back.
After the 4th time I've done that, you guys got to wait
Yeah.
a little extra long
Yeah.
for me to get back to the huddle.
Open on that one, Adam. I don't know.
Once we switched the flag, I was good because lining up in front of Andre when he's playing quarterback and he's got a head of steam running at you, I'm
Oh,
good. I ain't getting
no
in the way of
chance.
that. I'm good.
No chance. So we had a ton of fun over the years playing that game. We're retired now because football is a little too much for our old bodies, but plenty of stuff you can do as an old man. Other sports you can play, a lot of fun stuff, lawn games, all kinds of different things. Now you go to Dick's or wherever, they got a million different kind of games you can play at parties and stuff like that. Plus all the all the other sports that are not baseball, basketball, or football. That is our Mount Rushmore this week. And that is what we want to start with now. Who would like to go first?
That was a solid segue, by the way. I just wanted to be very clear.
Thank
That
you.
was
Well done.
well done, sir. Well
And
done.
I'm about to screw it all up because I want to take a half a step back.
Okay.
Andre, last week on the Nosebleed Sports podcast, we did the Mount Rushmore of Nate Dogg features.
Oh shit!
Okay.
Like him in the song.
Yeah.
It's so hard because there are a zillion of them.
And
The week
he's
before
amazing.
that, we did the Mount Rushmore of Whitney Houston songs, which is my
Oh my
favorite.
God! What is wrong with you people?
And the week before that, we did the Mount Rushmore of, I think we did
Michael-
Elvis, but the week before that, we did Michael Jackson.
It was very difficult picking 4 songs for any of these. So anyway, my question for you, we were trying to decide last week. I'm sure when you were listening to the podcast, you had your own thought process when we were talking about this, but I'm just, for the listeners that may have missed last week, I'll revamp the question that we were going to ask you last week. Me and Adam have two different thoughts about this.
Okay.
Andre is a man of with a golden vocal cords as yourself, who is a a doctor in singing or whatever you are.
Call him master, but that's cool.
Masters in singing. That's just as good as a doctorate to me.
I don't have either one. Not even close.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that being said, would you consider Nathaniel Dogg, otherwise known as Nate Dogg,
Full name.
to be an R&B artist or a hip hop artist?
Ooh.
Good. I'm glad you remembered that. I totally forgot we were going to ask him that.
I would probably go hip hop artist. And the reason I would go hip hop artist is because I don't know that I would go to a Nate Dogg concert and watch an entire Nate Dogg show, right? Like, I love the cameos that he has and, you know, the appearances he has on particular songs that are just iconic in my head, and that I'm just like, yeah, that, yes, give me that. Do I want an entire concert of, like, I mean, you think about it like a Chris Brown, right? Like, you go for the pageantry, you go for the dancing, you go for, you know, the vocals, like all of those things. Like, you give me 4 or 5 songs of all the real gangsters know, like, I don't know that I could, like, I don't know that I could go more than about 3 of those before I'm like, okay, that's enough, bro. Like, I need you to do something else, you know? So give me the short, rhythmic
Hooks.
rhyming hooks of, like, yeah, I put my stamp on this hip hop song, and that's where I'll go.
Great answer. I totally agree.
Yep, Adam said hip hop. I said R&B because as an artist, that's what he is. He's an R&B artist.
I mean, he's
most
singer.
known for being in hip hop songs. I mean,
Yeah.
You're not going to call, like, Sierra was on a P.D. Pablo song. You're not going to call her a hip hop artist.
Nah, she was on one P. Pablo song. Like, it wasn't like every song that she made was on a P. Pablo song.
Every
Right.
song that Nate Dogg made was like, he had four or 5 studio albums.
I mean, again, name the wide receivers who play for the New England Patriots. This is what I'm saying when it comes to Nate Dogg solo albums.
That's what we did. That's what we had a problem with, is we looked at, he has never had a top 100 hit.
Oh,
Yeah, of course not.
Oh.
And
Of course not.
if you put him on like a duet with another great vocalist, another great R&B singer, if he did a
Yes.
duet with anybody, Whitney Houston or anybody, that's
Sure.
probably too unfair, but anybody who's a regular R&B singer, I think that you'd be able to see the separation a little bit.
yes, they would
Well,
smash.
obviously, and he would just be doing the hook in his rhythmic hip hop. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, his voice is 60 million times better than mine, but
Oh, I
compared
mean, look,
to
again,
real-
it's an iconic voice.
Hmm.
You get hype when Nate Dogg's voice drops into a song.
Oh, no doubt.
But because you know exactly what you're getting. You know it's gonna be some dope lyrics. You know it's gonna be like super smooth and silky and like you just yeah, get it, Nate. Okay, cool. But again, I just go back to my point of, after 3 full songs of Nate doing what Nate does, do you want to sit there for the next 90 minutes?
So I agree with you. And to make you feel better, on the NFL's website, they don't even have 3 wide receivers as starters on New England's team. They've only got 2. They only got two. Nelson Aguilar and Jacoby Myers.
They don't even have enough for a depth chart.
They're like,
Third
you
wide
know what?
receiver.
Never mind.
Bring Wes Welker out of retirement.
It's fine.
They do
Whatever.
got Devontae Parker, though,
It's fine.
who was a third string wide receiver for a terrible Miami team.
Miami team, right?
Wes Welker is now doing a podcast with Sam Morrill, the comedian from New York.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Wes
okay.
Welker was a funny dude. Wes Welker with his with the foot jokes and all those jokes when they played the Jets and
Yes.
the coach, whoever the coach for the Jets was, one of those brothers. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Ryan brother.
Ryan. Yeah.
Ryan brother.
Wife who was in
Rex
some
or something.
stuff or something. Yeah, that was pretty good. One foot in front of the other.
All right. Circling back.
To your beautiful segue.
Thank you. Mount Rushmore. No, still segue again, because the last week's Mount Rushmore right into this week's
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore of favorite sports to play or
Yeah.
activities to play.
Yeah.
Besides the big three sports.
So I went bowling.
Before you even continue, I was going to say there are two that I guarantee are on Andres.
Right. So bowling, mostly because I'm in a league on Thursday nights, which so last week was our first week in the league, which normally speaking, you try and sandbag a little bit, right? Like to get you bring your average down so you get a little extra handicap pinned. But sometimes you're just feeling it week one, right? You're just feeling it. And I think I went something like 176, 223, 224. Yeah. So I was feeling it last week. I don't know why, but I was feeling it. I was like, as Justin Timberlake would say, you can't stop the feeling. So I just went with it.
I feel like you are Justin Timberlake. You're just as good a singer. He's one of the most talented athletic singers there is out there. You ever watch that dude? He can shoot, he can play golf, he can do it all. I just feel like you may be the Justin Timberlake of
this podcast. Of this podcast. That's what
Yes. Definitely of this podcast.
Of this podcast. There we go. So then number two would be golf.
Okay.
I appreciate the golf culture more than the golf game. What I mean by golf culture is most of the time it's me and three of my boys riding around, probably having a couple of adult beverages, maybe even throwing a cigar or two, and just out having a good time hanging out. Like, it doesn't really matter what the score is. I'm not great at golf, but it's competitive enough. It's fun enough to, do different things with. And it takes like 3 or 4 hours that I don't have to be worried about my kids. It's great. I love it. So bowling, golf, boxing.
That was my other one.
Yeah.
That I was gonna say.
From a cardio and fitness perspective, from a stress relief perspective, like I really enjoy hitting things, especially things that don't necessarily have to hit me back. So that's super fun. I enjoy that. And then lastly, racquetball.
Love racquetball.
I do, man. Like, I really, really enjoy racquetball. Something I'm not necessarily great at when you play somebody who actually knows how to play racquetball.
Yeah.
Where they're like, hitting balls in the little corner and just like deadening it. And you're like, wow, it's that shot. Like that part is not super fun because they know what they're doing. But if like you take a couple of dudes who are generally athletic, can move, can, do the things they need to do and don't really have crazy technique, but are good enough to get to most shots and, change it up and do that. Like it's a lot of fun. One, it's air conditioned and it's inside. So I don't have to worry about allergies. I don't have to worry about, bugs and anything like that. So it's inside, it's contained. I don't have to worry about running 100 yards. It's a closed, contained, space. Awesome, great, cool.
Hey,
That's
Andre,
fun.
Andre lives on the east side now because
Right.
he just said that his racquetball court is air conditioned.
That's
You
right.
go to the Y over on Gamble Nipper, bro.
Gamble Nipper
There's
Y.
nothing air conditioned
There's
in
no air
that.
conditioning in there. No, see, no. Come on up. See, as my friends call it. So I live in Liberty Township. So you come on up to Canada.
There you go.
Canada.
Yep, you're in Liberty
Come on
Township.
up
All
to
right,
Canada. We got
you're not
AC
even east.
on the
You're due north.
Yeah. Come on. It's still west, but come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
what my wife.
that's my Mount Rushmore:
wants to go to
bowling,
Liberty
boxing, golf, racquetball.
Those are good. I totally forgot about racquetball. My dad used to be an unbelievable, really good racquetball player. He played in like 4 leagues and really high up in the leagues. Used to win his league all the time. I used to go and play with him all the time. That was fun.
Yeah. Honorable mention to a game that I just learned how to play recently: pickleball.
I still don't know how to play pickleball.
Literally just learned how to play that. Like,
I got a buddy who's been asking me to play that forever, and I thought it was an old man's game, so I keep telling him no.
Nah, it's decently fun.
I learned how to play about a year ago, probably. I played like 3 times and then they stopped asking me to come. So I must not have been that good, but it was kind of fun. Yeah. Yeah. All right, good. Chris, you want to go quick?
Yeah, sure. I'll go up next. So I'll start with, I definitely have golf on mine. That's number 1 on mine. Golf is I play in a golf league every Thursday. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. Again, like Andre, I'm not the best at it, but I play quite a bit and I've gotten better, which makes it even more fun. So golf is definitely there. Number 2, I'll stick with the ones that are the same as his. I have boxing on mine. Boxing is one of my favorite things to watch. It's one of my has been for a long time. Me and Adam used to do a little boxing circuit down in my basement. Back in the day, we had a speed bag and a heavy bag. We used to play around on, love boxing. Number 3, I'm going to go with ping pong. I love playing ping pong. Love it.
Sport, man.
See, I'm decent. I'm decent enough at it to where if there's a ping pong table in somebody's house, I feel confident to walk up. I was undefeated at my brother-in-law's ping pong table after like 12 games, and then this dude came in, and I mean, he wasn't Asian, but he might as well been.
Like, it's definitely one of those sports that kind of like racquetball. Like, if you play somebody else who doesn't know what they're doing, you can feel like, I'm really good at this sport. And then you run into that chick or that dude who knows what they're doing, and you're like, oh, that was dumb.
That was fun. Yeah. I swear to God, that should have hit the table.
Yeah,
well, they put an
100%,
incredible amount of spin on it, so you can't do that.
Right.
So I'll go ping pong. And then last but not least, man, one of my favorite pastimes to do is, in the summer, we my son's baseball team has championship belts for the dads all play, and it's hard to win. There's only in 3 years there's only 2 teams that have ever had the belts. Nobody can take them. Right now, I currently hold one as the cornhole champion of Jaeger baseball.
Yeah, cornhole. Cornhole's an interesting. Like, people take their cornhole super seriously, man. Like,
that's my favorite part about it is I don't take it seriously. And my favorite thing to do is walk up to a cornhole board when somebody new is there, or I've never played them, and go and be like, okay, yeah, well, I'll play next. That sounds like fun. And walk up and go, all right, so do we throw them all at the same time? Do I go all mine, then all yours? How does this work?
Talk about sandbagging.
That's my favorite thing to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not unbelievable at it, but like you said with bowling, I'm good at it. And then all of a sudden, every once in a while, you get into a streak, and it's like, oh, daddy's on a roll now.
Is it overhand? Is it an overhand throw?
Yeah. So
Hey, I'm like, am I shooting jumpers like Kobe? Like, how does this work?
set all those, set them all, and then you make the first one and go, "Oh, is that good?"
And then
How many points is that?
Yeah.
Is that points or is that
Disappeared.
no?
I didn't see it. Did it go off the back or go in the hole? What is that the same as going off the back? Is that like a miss because they put the hole in the middle?
Can I just throw it onto the one I'm standing right next to? I got to throw it all the way over there on that one.
Right. It's jumping in this hole or
All right. I'm going absolute number one is ping pong for me. For sure. I also put boxing on there. I did like a fitness class for years and years. Love it. I just went back for the first time. I didn't go for like 5 years. I went back like 4 months ago or something like that. Went to like 3 classes and then haven't been back since. But I love it. It's just because of the timing of the classes. It's not because I don't want to go. I love that workout. It's so fun. Sort of a similar thing. I hope this counts, but so there was a gym that opened up 10 years ago or something like that on Harrison Avenue, an MMA gym, but they taught the classes. So I took boxing there and I took Muay Thai there. And that was so fun. For 2 years, I did almost pretty consistently for twice a week. I took Muay Thai classes. The trainers, the 2 guys they had training were the coolest guys ever. They were such good teachers. It was so much fun. Like it was a 2-hour class. So they split it up. It was like mostly conditioning and stuff in the first hour. And then if you stayed for the second hour, they got more into technique. You got to spar a little bit here and there. It was like, you got the gear. Like I bought all the gear. I had the shin guards, the headgear, everything. I got pretty serious into it. I wasn't that good or anything, but that was when I was in my 20s. So I still had a little athleticism and stuff.
right.
But it was so fun. It was just a really fun sport to learn. That's when I was really into the UFC. So I was really getting into all the different arts and everything, but I loved Muay Thai. And then I'm putting bowling on there because I just want to keep the conversation about bowling going, because speaking of last week, Chris and I talked about, we both recently bowled, and we're like both like once a year bowlers, but we both recently bowled and both bowled our best games of our lives the last time we bowled. Now, I don't want to say the scores anymore because Andre just said what he did, what he bowled.
I would have beat Andre by 1 pin in his first game.
That's right.
Not in the middle.
But my personal best was like a 156 or something like that. That was my personal best. And that's how much I bowl. But the feeling of actually finding a rhythm.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
As good as that feel like I'm a number one basketball over everything guy, and getting into a rhythm there's nothing better. But it was like that. It felt like that. Like there's a zone or something you get in, you find just the right placement on the whatever. I don't know any of the jargon, but I mean, just the feeling was so good. And that's a 156 or whatever it was. And that felt like amazing to me.
So the back-to-back 220, whatever. Like I would throw a ball. So there's some very technical things that you can do with bowling, and like to really, really understand where you are. There's a little sliver of boards that you stand on. There are 40 of them. And then it all depends on like where you place your feet and where you throw your ball. And there's, again, a whole mess of things that you could talk about into. But it felt to me at the level I am, I'm not good enough to throw a 300 because I don't practice and I don't bowl often enough to be good enough to do that. But for the level I am, it felt like every ball I threw, and it didn't matter whether I threw it right down exactly where I wanted to throw it, or just a little bit right, or just a little bit left. Like it was a strike. Like like I was just in a zone. Like they talk about when you shoot basketballs and it looks like you're just throwing balls into the ocean. Like that hoop is this big, but when you're shooting and you're on fire, it's this big, right? Like that's the way I felt last week. I can throw the ball anywhere from here to here, it's gonna be a strike. Cool. And if it's not, it's an easy spare that I can just throw it out there and be done. Like
my problem with bowling, and we talked about this last week, is you guys talk about getting in that rhythm and finding the pocket, and it's beautiful, beautiful. I throw the ball straight. I don't have it. I can't. I don't do the spinny stuff. I just throw a big heavy ball as I can, and they just go boom.
So here's the misconception about that. Because you walk into a bowling alley and pick up a ball off the rack and just start throwing, right? Something you're like, no, that doesn't feel right. No,
the biggest thumb hole.
Right? So you actually end up buying a ball. The core is made to go from right to left, or if you're left-handed, from left to right. So it's not necessarily about the spin that you put on it to make it do that. There are balls that are genuinely made to naturally float from right to left, versus you just pick up a plastic ball that you pick up from the house. There's no core in there. They're just a piece of crap ball that, yes, you throw it super hard and you throw it straight and all the pins maybe blow up. Sometimes you miss some, whatever. But no, the way balls are made and manufactured, they're actually made to hook.
So I bought a ball years ago, but it was 15 pounds, and I can't throw it. It's too big for me. But I have no idea what that thing's supposed to do. I went to a bowling shop, had them fit it in my hands. They put my name on it, but I think I've used it 5 times because it's too heavy. So you saying that thing could probably go right to left if I just kind of let go a little bit sideways?
Yeah.
Wow. Did not
I have to lift some weights and pick that thing back up.
For the longest time, I just love to see the pin action when you hit them hard.
Yeah.
So I would get like the 8-pound ball.
Yeah, and just throw the heck out of it
as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And it's always a pink ball. And but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, if a pretty girl walks by or something, I'll pick up the other one and act like I'm getting ready. And then she walks by and I put it down, pick up the pink one. And then she just hears how loud it hit. She's like, whoa, huh? Yeah, right there.
And then
right
sees
there.
the ball bouncing back down the lane.
Yeah. And then it comes up to the return. Like, I was like, that was Andre's ball.
That's my nephew. My nephew.
Yeah.
He went to the bathroom.
Yeah. He threw it in rain.
Oh my God.
So is that all 4 years? Or is that only 3?
Was
that's
that
4.
Yes, bowling was 4. Bowling was 4.
Yeah,
Yep, ping pong, boxing, Muay Thai, and bowling.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man,
Andre,
all right.
thanks for participating, my friend.
We gotta get Andre out of here because we were trying to get this done so that he can go to bed at a human time. Now, I don't know if it's still there, but we had a lot of fun.
Sorry,
Hey, man, seriously, I'm not kidding. We do this 2, occasionally 3 times a year, and it is the most fun that I have doing podcasts. I've been asked to do multiple podcasts and talk about Bengals and talk about football and whatever. But this particular podcast, I love the interaction. You guys have been my family for decades, and I love you both. I genuinely enjoy the time that we get to spend and just sit here and talk. So thank you for having me. I always appreciate it. I always enjoy it.
The pleasure is ours. We couldn't say it any better. Obviously, we couldn't say it better than you because you always say everything better than us. Dude, it's like when I said you're our favorite guest, man. It's loose, it's easy, I love it, and we appreciate you, brother. Appreciate your time.
At the latest,
it's funny. Like people will always like, so do you get the questions beforehand? Like, do you know what? I'm like, I have no idea what we're going. I obviously I know we're talking Bengals. I know we're talking football, but like, I have no idea what the topics are going to be, what direction we're going to go, how it flows. But it just feels like 3 guys sitting at a bar and each of us just throwing out like, so what are Bengals going to do if La'el Collins goes down to right tackle, and then we just start talking, right? Like, and I think that's probably what I love most about this pod is there's just a genuine enjoyment that I experience, and I hope that you guys feel too, of just like, yeah, those are my dudes. I, every time I talk to you guys, I'm like, what's up, little cuz? Or like, hey, what's going on? Hey, like, that's just the feeling that I have, and I just want to express how much I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, we'll see you at the very latest week 10.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be back.
Thank you for everything, brother. Thanks for all the kind words and just being yourself. And you make it easy to do that. It's easy to talk sports with a guy. You say talking about sports in a bar. Usually when my friends are with me and we start talking about sports in a bar, I want to shoot myself in the head because they don't make any sense. So it's much easier than that. It's even better than that when you come on here. And I appreciate you, bro.
Yes,
appreciate
sir. Anytime.
Love you,
boys.
buddy.
All right. Well, love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, drinking the same thing. Oh, do I have to put this in front of my? Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's. Oh, wow. That's fun, huh?
yeah. Wait, does it do the same for me?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying this blurred background for some
It
reason.
looks good. Andre Edwards, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, and the legend.
Oh man, I hope he's wrong on some of these picks so that we can hear him sing.
Good. It's going to come down to you and him. Yeah, I'm hoping it comes down to you and him, and somehow you get something right.
Yeah, me too. Just the like 1.5 seconds of him doing his Nate Dogg. Like, oh yeah, that's what we want. That's the little sample we wanted.
Little sample. I just surprised that he knew words. Those are the only words he knows from any Nate Dogg song.
No, he knows Nate Dogg.
Accidentally heard it.
Oh my God. Always super fun when he's on. So we thank him, of course. And Chris, we just have a couple more things. We got our Mount Rushmore out of the way. We have 2 more things, I think, to go over.
Yeah. What do you want to start?
One is, I'll put this in front of my face so you can see it. The Reese's dipped pretzels.
Hey, did Dad send you? My dad tell you what he did?
No.
He didn't send. So my dad sends me the other day. So Dad's been getting a big into the podcast. He's been going back and listening to old ones he hasn't heard in a while because I get some texts and stuff every now and then. He sends me this the other day. Where is it at? He must have emailed it to me. Did he email it to me? Well, now this is going to be no fun because it's going to take me a second to find it. Anyway, he received an acceptance letter from Reese's University.
Oh.
He went online and you can apply to go to Reese's University.
I've seen that.
And I'll just leave it at that. You guys can go on and check it out, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it here very soon. Wow. Adam, talk about these Reese's for about 30 seconds while I run over there.
I gotcha. So again, the Reese's, if you can see it, Reese's dipped pretzel. So it's a pretzel. It's like just a little regular size, small pretzel twist with Reese's chocolate and peanut butter coating. So if you're watching on YouTube, here it is. These are hard to find. Let me tell you, first of all, I saw them a few times. I've gotten them before, but mostly in gas stations and not all gas stations. So certain gas stations will carry them. I went to, actually, I'm going to wait to say that until Chris comes back, but these things are, I mean, before I even start eating them, they're one of my favorite things to eat. I have to control myself every time I see these things in a store. By the way, not in grocery stores, not in all grocery stores either. So kind of rare, which makes them, for me, bumps up whatever the score is on these, whatever the rating is, bumps it up a little bit. Like anything else, if it's more rare, if it's harder to find, it's more valuable. So, well, since Chris is back now, I think I told you 6 places I went to find these things. I saw them last week and talked to you about them. I was like, hey, I would love to do those. You're like, absolutely, definitely. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So after work, I spend like an hour and a half driving around the city trying to find these things. And let me tell you, I went into 6 stores and ended up buying something I did not want from 4 of them because I felt guilty about walking around for a while and then leaving. I've got mints, I've got gum, I've got other candy, I've got our Reese's for next week. I mean, I bought stuff just so that people didn't think I stole.
I have gotten so, I used to be the same way. I used to do that same thing. I've gotten so much better at not caring anymore. I walk into gas stations now, go to the bathroom and walk out. And I look directly at the cashier and go, hey, how you doing? And just keep on walking. I don't even care anymore. It doesn't even matter to me. I used to every time I walk into a gas station to go to the bathroom, I'd have to buy something because I'd be like, oh man, I feel so bad about this.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there was, I mean, I went to Kroger, so a huge grocery store. It was packed full of people. So I did walk out of there. Yeah, I feel weird about that too, but walked out of there because I'm like, I mean, there are people everywhere. And then there was one of the UDFs I went to. I ended up walking out. They don't care. They probably the employees, I'm sure, steal. So anyway, I was okay with those. But anyway,
First place I went.
Man,
Got him.
Good call. Was it a Speedway?
No, it was a Love's.
That was a Love's. Love's has
Truck
everything.
stop.
Yeah, Love's has everything. I went to a place. The second place I went to had them, but were out. I found these at a very small grocery. I found these at Hadding's Market.
Wow. Okay.
Hadding's. Second time in my life, second or third time in my life, I went in there.
Nice.
So anyway, here we go. Chris, cheers.
All right, here we go. Adam Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
First impression.
I like the ratio right off the bat of the chocolate and peanut butter. It's a little more peanut butter. Actually, it's a decent amount more peanut butter, I think. Maybe it varies from pretzel to pretzel. I don't taste the pretzel taste very much. I just get the crunch. And the peanut butter is, yeah, you know what? There's more peanut butter on this than chocolate. There's
chocolate on the bottom and then a drizzle over the top.
The back of it is chocolate, yeah. And but the whole thing is coated with peanut butter, I guess. So essentially peanut butter pretzels, peanut butter covered pretzels with chocolate as well. I love these. I just opened this bag. I got the big bag, like the bigger bag here. There's a good chance. I mean, it's 11 o'clock at night. There's a good chance I end up eating all of these and then going right to bed, which is like one of the worst things you can do. But what am I going to put these away?
I'm not.
Come on. I'm going to go. I went with the Mrs. Freshley's cakes, the Whitney Freshley cakes. I went 9.9 on those. So I'm going to go, I love these, but I'm going to go 9.7. That's on the low end. I could go 9.8. I'm going to go 9.7 on these. How do you like these?
I like that the pretzels have salt on them because I get a little salt mixed in there every now and then.
You're a big salt guy.
And this is really good. Better than I was expecting.
Good.
I love chocolate covered pretzels.
Me too.
And this is good.
Do you do the flips?
Yeah.
Love the flips.
The
How do
white
you
chocolate with the drizzle on them.
Or the regular chocolate? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do these compare to the flips to you?
Oh, these are better than those.
Okay. Easily. Huh.
Yeah. I'm going. Man, so the outrageous bar is a 10. The Reese's Big Cup with the Reese's Pieces was a 9.9. So I'm gonna go 9.8 for these.
Ooh. Love it.
My third favorite Reese's thing right here, Bob.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Nice.
start eating these all the time.
This is the first time you've had these.
Never had them.
Beautiful. That's one of the best parts about doing these.
Yes, it is.
Discovering new Reese's. And let me tell you, on my journey to find these 6 different stores, boy, oh boy, even more Reese's stuff than I was thinking before. Every week we say that, but
Yeah.
man, we will never, we're either going to have to just stop doing this part at some point, or we just never will.
Someday Reese's was gonna appreciate us.
Yeah. Yep. Someday we'll do a commercial.
Yep.
Oh man, I gotta stop so people don't have to listen to me chewing a microphone the rest of the time.
Doesn't bother me one bit. All right, so there you go.
So good. One more thing to rate before this podcast is over, and that is our man David A. Arnold, his newest Netflix special called It Ain't for the Weak. We probably a year and a half ago, maybe something like that.
Yep.
Watched his first special. I should have looked up what we rated that one, but I forgot to do that. But that has no bearing on this one. Totally different thing, different comic at this point. I'd like to hear what you thought about this special.
So to start off, at the very end of the podcast was really cool. They did a whole journey with his family, and then did you watch the end of it after he was done, and they did the little documentary kind of like a thing, and he talked to his dad, well, his adopted dad, his stepdad, his mom, and his wife, and all the people he talks about in it. They talk to them. His stepmom, and I love to hear the journey people go on to get to these places. And this dude has been on as tough a journey as anybody. 27 years before he got a special. You know what I mean? 25 years. That being said, I really thought this was funny. I laughed pretty well the entire time. The best joke by far, the one that I laughed the hardest at, was the very last joke about his deaf sister. I could not stop laughing the entire time he was telling that joke, from the time he started until the time he ended. When he started off with, "We got a deaf sister," and we having a deaf sister, you think that we would do a little bit better with trying to communicate with her. Oh, that was great.
None of them learned sign language.
Amazing.
They just yelled and stomped their foot.
Yeah. So great. A whole lot of talk about kids, and I don't know where that went, but I'm gonna eat. Or it might have been. There's whole lot of talk about his kids and how he wants to bring them up, and he did a really good job of getting serious and then putting a joke in, and I kind of like that. The only time he didn't, I was really, when he did his grandpa and he sat down, and it was funny while I was doing it, but at the end, I thought he was going to make a joke. And he was just talking about how grandpa would be proud of who he is right now, which is totally cool. He gets to do that in his special. That's the only part where I wish he would have still cracked it with a joke as a comedian. At the same time, I was like in tears listening to him talk about it. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. I would suggest, I'm eating That's how good these are. I don't care. I'm just eating
I know.
the
I'm
time.
dying to keep eating them.
I thoroughly enjoyed this and would recommend it to anybody. 100%. I didn't, crack up laughing the whole time, but I laughed pretty well the whole time. I'm going to go with a 4.3.
Nice. Wow. That's a
really like that. That was a really,
really
good
good score. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He talked a lot about, the pandemic, of course. We're still getting a lot of jokes from that because we're still, kind of just recently came out of it or whatever. He talked about spending all that time at home and
That
how
was so funny.
relationships go and how it went with his wife and his kids and everything, and talking about waiting each other out to see who gets up first because he's gonna have them. They're gonna have to get something for the other one. He's like, get your own stuff. He's like, I will pee all over this couch before I get up and get you anything else.
It's so great.
The volleyball lesson thing, that was another thing that like wasn't as funny, but it was just a really nice like family story about his daughter making her. At first I was like, you can't make your kid play high school sports. I mean, I don't know about that. And then it all worked out at the end. I still don't know that I would, but he made her do that because it was about going through adversity.
Yeah, and it was the point of that. He gave her the option. He said, "You're doing something extracurricular. You got to find something, and if you don't find it, I'm picking it." Well, she didn't pick it, so he did.
Yeah,
so he knew she had done before.
Yeah, and it was about. It started out with the spending all that money and time going to these tournaments and traveling and stuff. And she went to that big volleyball tournament and realized how good everybody was, and then just kind of like wasn't putting in the effort as much. She quit because he gave her a hard time about it. So she quit. And then the next year, he's like, you're playing volleyball. He made her go to tryouts. She made the team, was really excited about making the team, and grew. He said she grew like 4 inches or something like that.
He did make a joke though at the end of that I thought was really good. And I'm so proud of you. And I did, I pushed you because I knew you could do it and this, that, and the other. And he goes, and if you ever cuss in a text message to me,
yeah. Yep. So that was really good. Yeah, he did a lot of good family stuff where he kind of made it kind of a touching thing, and then also did a joke with it. What else did he had the grandfather thing when he sat down in that chair? I think that was the whole joke, was like that it was an impression of his grandfather, which was kind of funny, but it was also hard because we don't know his grandfather. We've never seen
but
him.
it was an impression of an old person.
Yeah.
A lot of it being an old person. I started working when I was 6, and then later on I started working when I was 4. And
he's two years older every time he says something. In 5 minutes he gained 6 years. So yeah, I mean, that wasn't too bad. The stepfather that started the OJs, that was so cool. I apparently he wasn't in the OJs. He just helped start them or something.
Well, he left the group
right before they made it big or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was really cool because I like the OJs. And then let's see. Oh yeah, the 1 glass of juice per kid per day thing.
That was awesome.
That was good. And then he ended up using it. Let's see.
I'm not a hero. Yeah, I'm not a hero. My dad was not a hero. I had a cap gun. My stepmom acted like she killed us all, and all he did was get closer to the door.
Yeah. I also like the joke about when he was in jail and he was like, he decided he was going to go complain to the guard about the food or whatever. the guard's like, oh, you want me to get you some, what was it? Some salt. That was it. You want, it's kind of bland. This food's kind of bland. You want me to get you some salt? Yeah. He said he goes back and sits down. He's like, oh, he's going to get us some salt. He's telling the other guys. He said, I spent the next 35 minutes watching me watch him not get me any salt. That was one of the funniest jokes to me, I thought. I'll get you some salt, and then just stands there. Oh,
That's good.
That's funny. All right. So I also like the special. Like I've seen other ones that made me laugh a little more, or like I like the joke structure a little more, whatever. He's more of kind of a storyteller. He does you know, does the storytelling and the family stuff like a lot of comedians do. But so I'm with you. I'm a little tiny bit lower. I'm going 3.9.
That's still good.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And it's cool to see that guy. Because he talked, you said 27 years since he started comedy. This is his second special. You like to see him. He feels like a guy that you like to see get some success,
Yep.
Like he kind of deserves it for putting all that time in. All right. So cool. So we just have to pick for next week, right?
I think that's it.
We got to pick for next week. Mine's going to be easy. I've got this comedy special, and I hate to keep doing the same people, but when the same people are so prolific and they keep putting out specials and they're good.
Is this a Netflix special that just came out?
This is a Netflix special that just came out. I'm talking about. Our friend Sam Morrill came out with two specials in like 6 months or whatever during the pandemic. And then another one. Now I'm trying to remember the name of it and my
something about tomorrow.
Same time tomorrow, I think it is.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I thought that's what was the special where he went on from rooftop to rooftop?
That was oh my God, what was that called? Something about up on the roof.
Maybe.
Something like that.
Anyway, I'm excited about this one. This is gonna be a good one.
Same time tomorrow, Sam Morrill.
He's really good. Sam Morrill is really good.
Yeah.
This dude he's a very good comic. I'm excited to hear this one. I'm excited for this one.
Did you happen to see so David Letterman had another show not too long ago on Netflix, where he had comedians come out, do like 5 or 6 minutes, and then come over and sit with him and talk to him?
Yeah, I didn't see him, but
Sam did one of those, and that was really cool. That was cool to see, because every comedian is a fan of David Letterman.
Yeah.
And so he came out, did a really good 5 minutes or whatever it was, and then and it was even funnier, the two of them sitting there talking about comedy in New York and all that kind of stuff. It was really good. So there we go. We just need a Mount Rushmore.
Yes, we do. We need a Mount Rushmore. And you know what I'm going to do for the Mount Rushmore this week, Adam Schmidt?
What's that? Favorite ones.
Yeah. We got on a really good roll there with doing the music thing. Mm-hmm. And you obviously wanted to end that because you went with the best sports outside of the big three.
We don't have to end it. Jump right back into it.
No, I think I'm going to go with let's go with how about Mount Rushmore, your Mount Rushmore of vehicles? Have you had 4 vehicles in your life?
Yeah. Okay, so that we've owned.
Yes.
Okay. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Okay. I mean, it's easy. I make a short list of 6 or 7 that I've ever had, and then we go from there.
Yeah. You gotta get your 4 favorite. That'll be fun.
I've got a number 1 right off the bat.
Sure. It's gotta okay. We'll talk about it next week.
Number 1.
I mean, I've got a number 1 of yours. I've got a number 1 favorite of yours.
I mean,
so.
Everybody loved. I had was the only one that could start it there for a while.
Those are the best kind. That is your car. When
I've got a really good. I'll tell a really good story of where I was a little too intoxicated and I could barely speak and I had drove to where we were at, and somebody had to drive my car home,
Oh,
and they could not start my car. I had to get in the driver's seat, hammered, start the car, and then get out.
Good for you. I love the responsibility to get somebody else to drive.
Exactly.
And totally fine to start it. You know?
Yeah.
You're not moving.
I couldn't, let's just put it this way. I couldn't talk to him to get the words out how to start it. So yeah. Anyway, yes, let's do it. Mount Rushmore of previously owned vehicles.
Excellent. And Sam Morrill, same time tomorrow. And same time next week.
Sounds good to me. Until then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.